There are a number of different ways you can structure a language analysis essay. In this video, I'm going to offer you 4 alternatives. It's good to practice a few different types, and even to be flexible, given that some pieces lend themselves more to one style or another. All these techniques require you to have an introduction and at least 3 body paragraphs. 1. Chunking. The first style I'm going to refer to as chunking. One of the most obvious ways of structuring your essay is to follow the piece itself, each of your paragraphs discussing a different section of the piece, dealing with language techniques more or less in order. The benefit of this style is that it is easy to structure, as you simply deal with language techniques as they come up. However, it has a number of setbacks. First of all, you need to be wary of ignoring techniques that are overarching, such as a recurring theme that doesn't concentrate in any one part of the piece. Secondly, you need to make sure that you don't repeat yourself. If, for example, inclusive language is used, it's likely to be in every part of the piece, but you don't need to talk about it more than once. Instead, make sure you identify that it is an ongoing technique. Third, make sure that you don't oversimplify if you use this structure. You still need to be diligent about tying techniques back to the contention and looking at the piece as a whole. If you choose this style, make sure you use topic sentences to indicate where you are starting within the piece. By this, I mean that you need to show the assessor why you have started a new paragraph. Has the writer started using a new tone? Has the focus of the piece shifted? You should identify reasons for your paragraph breaks to create a clear structure for the assessor to follow. 2. Grouping-like techniques. Our second style is grouping-like techniques. As the name suggests, you'll often be able to group techniques based on the intended impact these have on the reader. For example, emotive language and appeals to sympathy often work in conjunction to make a reader feel sympathetic, and therefore often more pliable as a result of the emotional appeal. Equally, statistics, a logical structure, and appeals to experts are attempts to convince the reader through rational argument. It is acceptable to structure your essay by combining similar techniques in this way. This means you pick out a few techniques from the persuasive pieces provided and write a paragraph focusing on what the intended impact of those are. The benefit of this type of analysis is that it keeps you very focused on what each technique does, which means you write a solidly analytical essay. You need to be careful not to ignore techniques that don't fit squarely into your paragraph, and most of all, not to become too technique-focused. Writing about individual techniques does not mean you can ignore the arguments that underpin the piece as a whole. Argument-based structure. Our third style is an argument-based structure. Even though you only identify one contention per piece, there are always many arguments. The difference is that the contention is the overarching argument of the piece, while there are many different arguments that feed into that contention. For example, if someone is arguing that we should all convert to vegetarianism, that is their contention. But their arguments might be that it is A, healthier, B, more environmentally sustainable, and C, more ethical. Your essay can be structured this way, dividing up a piece into all of its different arguments towards the contention that you identified in your introduction. This style is helpful in that it makes you look at the piece as a whole and all of the different lines of argument that the writer poses to the reader. It's also usually easy to spot which techniques feed into each argument. However, it can sometimes be difficult to spot what a writer's many different arguments are, so it will take a little practice. Finally, I will explain the key features approach. This structure is similar to an argument-based approach. Essentially, you look for the things that really stand out about the piece and pull those out for discussion. This has the advantage of making sure you talk about the most important things in depth, allowing you to disregard lesser techniques. Be careful with your choices though. You need to make sure you don't forget to talk about things that are easy to sweep up into neat paragraphs. Be comprehensive in your analysis. Whichever style you choose, make sure you are aware of the pitfalls. Some teachers have certain preferences, so be aware of this when completing SACs, and talk to your teacher about what they like and don't like. Before you organise your paragraphs any of these ways, you'll of course need a strong introduction to start you off. So check out our video on how to write those as well. Thanks for listening and happy writing!